to me.
Yeesh. Long Shabbos you guys keep over there.
Hey, listen, we'll take it. Not as long as David Spira's father and Yom Tov. You guys missed that story, but yeah.
What does that mean?
Oh, yeah.
He watched the Nick game. One of the Nick games was on. He after Yontif, or maybe it was Motzei Shabbos. I don't even know. He kept his phone up for 2.5 hours. He watched the whole game. He didn't want anyone telling him the score or anything. Finally, like 11 o'clock at night, his phone goes on. And he's like, "Oh, you wanted?" I'm like, "Where have you been?" He goes, "I'm watching the Nick game. I didn't want to bother." A true Nick fan.
That's
How close
smart.
were you to sending over Hatzalah?
Oh, by the way, if I would not call him after Shabbos, I would get in big trouble. So this was on him. I was happy it wasn't me.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, very good. So we're up to Amid Aleph. Amid Aleph is easier. Amid Beis is not so easy, but Amid Beis has a very interesting kula for something that comes up, a possible kula that comes up in Hilchos Ribbis, probably the most common. I know every night I say common Ribbis Shilas, but for hands down the most common Ribbis Shilah. So let's see. So Tanya, we are approximately 10 lines, 10, 12 lines down on Ayin Aleph Amid Aleph. Believe it or not, we're actually starting on Amid Aleph today.
I was gonna say, and 10 lines down. So we're doing
okay. Yeah. Oh man, I didn't have time to look at the Taz. Okay. Whatever. Of how we paskin whether only a Talmud Chacham Lamaisa. Yeah, Rabban, you didn't even say to Maril. I was waiting for you to say over to Maril that he with all the silver and on the table by Pesach from all his loans. The truth is, maybe
you said they were goyim. That's what you said already.
Yeah, but we said. I mean, he was a Talmud Chacham, so he could lend the ribbis. I guess first we don't know. Maybe it was just collateral. We don't know. Maybe Taki didn't lend the ribbis, but yeah. So the Shaila is developed, does business with goyim and lends money to goyim. A lot of very wealthy Yidden are doing that, who are, I think, not Talmid Chachamim. But I don't know. I'm not judging them. It's Svira, Avada. But seemingly they're not Talmid Chacham. So then what's a pshat? I mean, the Gemara seems to clearly say that it's either only enough to make a living, unless they hold nowadays you got to make a lot of money to make a living, maybe before bingo, right? Or what? I don't know. So I don't know. There's a taz about it. In Arachayim of all places.
You might need Spike Lee Nick seats. You know what I mean? So you got to have a lot of money for that.
Yeah. I think Mustama, even for that, they're making more. They could afford that too, Mustama. So I don't know. So there's a taz about it, but I didn't look it up. Okay, fine. Belina, though, look at it later. Fine. Tanya. So about 10 lines, 10, 12 lines. Tanya Amar Rabbi Yossi. But now we continue with the musar against taking ribbis. Go and see how they blind themselves. People that lend beribis blind themselves. Adam Russia. If a person calls his friend a Russia, right? So Yored Imay L'chayev. Then he goes down with him to his life, meaning he's gonna be so upset at him if somebody calls his friend a Russia, then he can go after him. Rashi and Kedushin says that it's mutter to hate him and to even take away his parnasa. I remember when we did Kedushin, we had a hard time with this, and even and mamish go into, meaning you can be mamayit his parnasa and even go steal his parnasa, right? If he calls you a Russia. Okay, so that's a whole sugi unto itself. But whatever it is, somebody who
says that kasha be'inav to say that pshat.
Right. So it's a whole hack. What with the steers and Rashi and all that. Exactly what Rashi means. There's different versions, etc., etc. But that's what Rashi and Kedushin says. right? Fine. So anyway, but that's what it is. You mean you're very unhappy if a guy calls you a Russian. And the people that do ribbis bring Adim, they even bring a lavlar cipher, the kulmus, the and a pen and ink, and they write and they sign. Basically, what meant they write a star that they're taking ribbis. And basically what they're doing is they're writing in public, Pliny is a kafar be'elekei Yisrael. He's a koifer by Hashem. Right? So basically, he's blind that he's advertising to people that he is a koifer. Yeah. Fine. So that's the first negative. Tanya Reb Shimon Elazar Aimer. Call me sheyesh lemois. Anybody who has money, umalva oisam shaloi beribis, and he lends it not beribis. Allah v'kasav Aimer kaspa le'nosam b'neshech. He did not lend his money with kesef. This is up to, I forget which, it's close to the beginning of Tillim. Right, it's talking about somebody who's considered close to Hashem. He didn't take bribes. Somebody who does this will never fall forever. So if somebody who doesn't lend beribis ends up with not falling. So that sounds like if you do lend beribis, then you will fall. So I want to ask, because the delay might be beribis for kamis might, then you see that people don't lend beribis and they lose their money. Right? A classic hashkafic question that the Gemara is actually asking. Right? You see that people that do behave do lose. Right? So Rabbi Lazar, the ones that lose money that don't lend beribis, they'll make it back. And the other ones, they fall, but they'll never make it back. They'll lose all their money. I think it means money, and they'll never make it back. Okay, right? So that's meaning. So you see that it's not going. You could have bad things happen to good person, but in the end he'll make it out.
What's
Similarly,
the end mean?
What?
What does the end mean?
I don't know what the end means because you see
okay.
sometimes, right?
Okay.
You could keep the kasha. You can roll the kasha even more.
The ends means the ends warrants the means. What?
Well, we don't know what the ends are. We don't know
Thank
when
you,
the
very
end
cold
is.
water.
We don't know exactly where the end is. Fine. So anyway, that is similarly the Gemara said the pasuk says Lama Sabit Baigim Tachrish Bevala Rasha Tzadik Mimenu. Why do you look at Sabit Baigim? You look at the traders. Trader meaning somebody who rebels. Tachrish, and they're quiet. Bebala Rasha Tzadik Mimenu. When the Rasha swallows up somebody who's a bigger tzaddik than him. So what does this mean? Amravuna Tzadik Mimenu Baleya. The Rasha could swallow up a tzaddik who's a bigger tzaddik than him. Tzaddik Gomer ain't a Baleya. But if he's a tzaddik Gomer, the guy will not be able to permanently swallow up the Rasha will not be able to permanently swallow up the tzaddik. Right? And that's what Rashi's saying. Meaning, temporarily you can see a Rasha beat a tzaddik, but in the long term, the righteous one is going to win out. Yeah. So then Tanya, Rebbe Yomer, Gert said, now this is a parenthetical thing. So Rebbe Yomer Gert said the Gamel in Bechira, when the pasuk talks about a Gert Tzedek, that means that's a legitimate ger. The Ger Toishav, a Ger Toishav was not a legitimate ger. He was only Mikabel Sheva Mitzvahs. Amrlin Ribis, that's said by Ribis, Eina Yedei Mahu. I don't know what they're saying when they say that. Meaning, what does a Ger Tzedek and a Ger Toishav have to do with the following? Ger Tzedek ha'amar le'inyan mechira What is Rebbe talking about by a ger tzedek? It says by mechir. If your brother is poor and he sells himself to you, the loylach, right? It's not only you. Ela leger, shenemer leger. It says to ger. Veloy leger tzedek. Ela leger toishav. It means he's selling himself not to a ger tzedek, to a ger toishav. Again, he's the one that's just sheva mitzvahs. Shenemer leger toishav. Right? Mishpachas ger. And then it says he's already sold to him the family of a ger, zeh nachri. And that's a nachri. Shuaymer oila aker, and then it says or to an aker, which means like an avodah zara. Zeh nimkal avodas kechavim atzma. That's if a slave gets sold to a guy. So he's not sure what in this pasuk when it's talking about a ger, an eved ivri, or a yid selling himself. So he's not sure what is the meaning here about ger taishav, ger tzedek. What does it all mean? So Gemara asks, Amar Mar, well, if we're going to first quotes, Amar Mar v'loy lach ela leger, shenemer leger. Remember the ger kani eved ivri? What does he mean? That a ger is kind an eved ivri? Or meaning can a ger own an eved ivri? Or a minute, ask Yastira, ain't a ger nikna eved ivri? A ger cannot be bought as an eved ivri. Vein isha v'ger kind an eved ivri. And a woman or a ger are not allowed to buy an eved ivri. So ger loy nikna eved ivri. A ger can't be bought as an eved ivri because it's a shavel mashpachtai. It needs to be, meaning if you could redeem him, right? Because he sold himself because he has no money. So you can redeem him and put him back to his family, but so you need that. And a ger obviously doesn't have that because he doesn't have any family, right? Even if they become gerim with him, they're not really his family, right? Oh, but what happens if the ger gets married, right? Then he has a family, and then he sells himself. That's not called a family. We're talking about family, blood relatives from before. Fine. Vein isha v'ger koinen eved ivri, and a woman and a ger cannot be koinen eved ivri. Isha lav arachara. It's not derech eretz, right? It's not proper for her to have a servant because that could lead to problems, like by Yosef. Ger nami, ger also gemiri. There's a gemiri. Gemiri means as some the shayla is whether it means Allah l'moshe Sinai or not, but it's gemiri means what do you call it? A tradition. The makni kani, because the tradition is somebody who could be bought as an eved can also buy an eved. The loy makni, but if you can't buy him, loy kani, he can't be bought either. So a ger, since the ger cannot become an eved, therefore he can't be kohen an eved either. So okay, so Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak ain't a koina v'dina ki Yisrael. What it means is that he's not koina, and he should have a din with the eved like the eved's a yid. Ava koina v'dina kanachri, but the ger could buy a Jewish eved, an eved ivri, but the relationship is going to be like one of an eved Knani, right? I'm sorry, the owner is going to be like as if he's a guy, meaning in this area, a ger is looked at like a guy for whatever reason. The Tanya, a nirtza, somebody who became a nirtza, meaning that's a guy that had his ear, he wanted to stay in Eved Ivri, so they bust his ear, and then he stays in Eved until Yovel. And somebody who was sold to a guy, he's not Ovid the son, and he's not Ovid the daughter. Right? Meaning, normally an Eved gets Yarshin. If you have a Yid owns an Eved, and then he dies, so the Eved goes to the kids. If a guy owns an Eved and he dies, the Eved does not go to the kids. By a ger, he doesn't go to the kids either. Right? So, yeah. So that's in one area where the ger gets treated like a guy. So the first pshat in the Gemara is that a ger can't own an eved ivri at all. Second pshat in the Gemara is that he can, but he gets dealt with, meaning there's no Yerusha. There's no Yerusha about it. Fine. Omar Mar, Vein Isha Beger Koin and Eved Ivri.
Nimcha big Navasa Ger. The Ger is such a big tzaddik, but he's caught stealing, and he doesn't have the money, and so the pasuk says Nimcha big Navasa. He gets sold because he can't pay the knas. So now this ger tzedek, I shouldn't call him a tzedek now. The ger was he can't become an eved ivri. He can't be. What do you do? Give him makas? What do you do? It's like he has a free get out of jail free card. He steals $1 million, and then they say, "Oh, tough luck. You can't sell me for an eved, and I can't pay it back."
Right. You're saying, I don't know, Taco. What happens? What does happen?
We were saying he can't be sold, so he can't be sold because he can't return to his mishpach. If he can't be sold, then what happens? He has no. He stole $1 million, and he stole 1 million cows or whatever. He stole a cow worth $1 million. However, the cheshbon is, he can't. He doesn't have the money to pay it back. So for another yid, don't gadol, whatever. Don't gadol. So the nimcha big navasa, they sell him out. They put him up on the sand. They sell him. This guy just became a ger, and then he caught stealing. He sounds like he gets off scot-free.
I don't know. No, there's got to be something that happens. There's got to be something that happens to him if he steals. Anyways, I don't know, but I'm not sure. If
he just became a ger, I think he would take the Jewish law seriously, because now he wouldn't jump into this deal.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But what happens if he did it? You think it doesn't reverse his gerus?
I'm saying you're going on a far out, like a 1 in a trillion case. I don't know. I'm just thinking that most people that they become gerim, these are the guys that are shushing the people in the shul right away.
Right.
That's why you get such a
wrong. These are the guys that are holding everything by with all the chumras.
Bennett, that's why you get such scarf about half the masager.
Yeah, okay. But it's interesting you're saying the v'haftem masager, but then you tell him, by the way, if you own an eved ivri, you don't have a status of a yid.
Okay.
Right. So how's that
work? You just said over Abba Shmuel Novak's words. He says, "How do you know when a guy is not about tshuva anymore? When he talks during the davening."
Oh.
Very good.
The old words from Abba Shmuel.
I hear.
Very good.
Okay. Okay. So Omar Mar, Vein Isha Beger Koine Eved Ivri. An Isha and a ger cannot own an eved ivri. Name it the loiker of Shimon Gamliel. Let's say this is not like Shimon Gamliel. The Tanya Isha kindness of Shivchas. A woman can buy female slaves. Veina kindness of Adam. She cannot buy male slaves. Shimon Gamliel Leimer af kindness of Adam. Shimon Gamliel says she could even buy avodim. So you see, Rav Shimon Gamliel holds that a woman can own slaves. The one answers, "I feel Rav Shimon Gamliel, but like Kasha can't be eved ivri, can't be eved kanani. By an eved ivri, she's not allowed to own. An eved kanani, she's allowed to own. Why? This is like a reverse psychology here, because I would think the other way around, right? But eved ivri tzniya, and eved ivri, we just had tzniya in the Mishnayos, but here it means the classic of tzniyas. And eved ivri, if they're gonna be improper with each other, he knows it's wrong. He's not gonna tell anybody, so she'll get away with it. So she can't have him. Eved Kanani, Paritz Levit, and Eved Kanani, he's going to shoot his mouth off to people, right? And Memela, people are going to find out. So therefore, she's more scared of an Eved Kanani than she is of an Eved Ivri. See, if you would have asked me, I would have said, no, better an Eved Ivri. He's Chach a Yid. He's a Yid. He has scruples and he has whatever you want to call it. He has frumkeit. And the Gemara is saying, no, the opposite. Because by him, he'll hide it, and she knows that. Okay. So the Gemara says, Elahad Rabbi Yosef Armal Sarbi Kalva and Almana should not have a dog. V'loy tishri bar beirav ushpiza, and she should not have a bar beirav, a talmud chacham, meaning a yeshiva bach. She should not have him as a guest. I think yeshiva bach is lav dafka, but it doesn't look good if she has a single guy living in her house. So bishlam a bar beirav. So like we just said, a bar beirav, so he's going to be quiet. So in case there's any promiscuity, he's not going to say it. So we're afraid. Ela kalba, even the misrachba, mirsasa, but a dog, we know. I think it's a gemara with the zara. A dog, if a woman is improper with a dog, the dog is going to walk around and chase her. So people know that. So if she's going to do this, then people are able to tell. So she should be able to have a dog, because she's afraid that she'll get caught. And when answers Amri, no, because if she gives it meat, it's going to chase her. Amri inchi mishum the shadila hu the masrich. Because the reason why the dog's chasing the woman is not because of what went on between them, but because she serves it meat. Yeah, so that's the back and forth over a woman having dogs and having single men around. Fine. Ger Toishav Amr Leinian Ribis Maihi. What does it mean, a Ger Toishav? Right. So what it says in the pasuk, if your brother becomes poor and his mata yada, meaning his hand becomes weak, I don't know, weak, whatever, he loses money. Ger v'toishav, and you have to make him stronger. Ger v'toishav, a ger and a toishav v'chayimach, and he should live with you. Al tikach me'itay neshav varvis, and don't, meaning you got to support him. Don't take ribis from him. And you should fear Hashem v'chayachicha, and your brother should live with you. So what does it mean here? A ger and a toishav, right? So it means a ger and a toishav, meaning pashas is a ger toy. Well, a ger it's pashut, he's a regular yid, but a ger toishav, even a ger toishav, you should not deal with ribis. So the obvious kasha from our Mishnah, you're allowed to lend goyim and you're allowed to borrow from goyim with ribis. And the same thing by ger toishav. Just a stira. Does it say don't take from them? From him. What it means is mi Yisrael, meaning from a ger who's a Yisrael, meaning a real ger, not a ger toishav. That's what it's saying. Again, I don't understand exactly. So then, what are you doing with the word toishav? What's the word toishav doing in the pasuk? All right. So I guess what you have to say is
Rashi is going on the
right. So you have to say. So I don't know. Does he mean that you have to be mechai? You have to treat him like a brother, but you don't. You still, but you're allowed to lend him beribis. Isn't that a shtickle stira? Isn't the whole point that you're supposed to be mechaya him, so don't rip him off with ribis? And then the way Rashi seems to be saying, he's saying you got to support him, but you're allowed to lend him beribis. Right? That's clearly what our Mishnah is saying. So I'm not sure I'm not sure how to juggle those two.
But there are other dinim the Gemara talks about. No.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Whatever. So you have to say it's going on both. But yeah, it is a little bit funny. You could be malava and beribis and.
Right. Yeah.
Why? I don't get what's so strange. It's two psukim. We're just saying it's two separate mitzvahs.
Yeah, but that means that your chayicha imach is limited. Meaning, how do you know?
Means he lives with you like a yid. And then when it says in the next pasuk, Al tikach me'itzay neshech v'sardis, that's a regular yid.
Right.
It's
but you're allowed to lend him ribis.
He's not me'itzay.
Huh?
He's not me'itzay, yeah.
Right, but you still have to be. You have to. But he is v'chayachicha imach though.
Yeah.
No,
And every
Gershon,
other
it's
way.
two separate psukim. V'chei achicha imach is the second pasuk. The first pasuk is v'chei imach.
Right. V'chayimach, that's a ger
It's two-
toisha. V'chayachecha imach is not.
Right.
Chicha, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. Okay. Okay.
It's
I'm
even
still.
mashma in the pasuk that way. The first pasuk doesn't say a chicha. The second pasuk does say a chicha.
Right.
I don't know why we need to learn it from Meittai. The achicha should be the giveaway.
Right. I hear. I don't know. I'm not sure how to. Okay, but it's drushes. Fine. Don't take from a yid neshech v'tarvus. You're allowed to be an orev. You're allowed to be a guarantor. Meaning, if he went and borrowed beribis, you're allowed to be his orev. So on top of base, the Gemara asks, orev laman, an orev to who? Ilema orev Yisrael. If you're going to be an orev to Yisrael, meaning the malva, the lender is a yid. We learned in the Mishnah, these are the ones that are over on the loisase if they get involved with a loan of ribis, malva, orev, edim, right? So all those are over on a lav. So how can you say that you could be an orev? Ella lenachri. So what does it mean? It means for a guy, right? Meaning, it's a yid borrowing money from a guy, right? I mean, because whatever happens, at least what the Gemara is thinking now, whatever's going to happen, it's going to be ribis to a guy, which is okay. So the Gemara asks, though, by the guy, they'll go after the guarantor. Meaning, he don't even have to go after the borrower first. He can go straight to the orev. Right? So the kashaka min revisa. So if that's the case, so what's the orev going to do? He's going to go to the loiver and take the money from him and charge him, and he's going to charge him interest. Right? So if it's in the goyish way, so then it's going to end up, the orev is going to end up taking rivers, which I guess for whatever reason the Gemara doesn't entertain that maybe the orev is such a nice guy, he'll only make the guy pay back the what do you call it? The Karen, the principal, and not the interest. Right? For some reason, God doesn't entertain that. Because it ends up being that he
paid ribis to the guy. That's mutter. Now his friend owes him whatever he paid the guy. That's a new halal.
Correct, but it's 1 year from 1 year to another.
But it's not ribis.
Why
His
not?
friend owes him what he paid the guy. The friend owed the guy whatever. Now he paid it, so he's the arid. So now there's a new shibud. Whatever the Reuven owed, paid the guy, Shimon owes Reuven. That's a new halva. Until the Arev paid the guy, there was no, the borrower didn't owe the Arev anything. There was no halva. So when he paid the guy the ribis, which was mutter because it's the guy, there became a new milveh. Now there's a new milveh from Reuven to Shimon. The borrower owes the
I don't
Arev.
see. I'm not so sure. You have to look at it that it's a new loan. It seems like, but I'm not sure. Immediately, the loan transfers over to the Arev. And then, eventually, when he takes back the ribis, that's in addition to the loan, I think. But I'm not sure. I hear what you're saying. All right. But we'll talk about this in a minute after the next Gemara. So Amar Rav Sheshet. Either way, the Gemara is asking, but if you structure it the way, not structure, if you do it the way the Goyim do it, so what's going to end up happening is the Arev is going to end up going after the Loiva, and he's going to end up taking the rivers. So Amar Rav Sheshet shekibel alav ladun b'dinei Yisrael. He was makabel on himself. The guy was makabel on himself that he's going to deal with this loan according to the Yidden. So therefore, he's not going to go after the Arev. He'll go first after the Loiva. Right? So Gemara asks, and if that's the case, he's going according to Yiddish law. If he's being Mekabel on himself to go with Dina Yisrael, Ribis Nami Lishko. So then why is he taking Ribis? Meaning either he's all in or he's not.
Why does the guy have to be all in or not?
Well, that's exactly really the teretz. We're thinking like, okay, he's doing this loan according to Jewish values, let's call it. So then he's not going to go after the co-signer. He's going to go after the loiva. So we're saying, no, he was makabel on himself Jewish values. Okay. So if he was makabel on himself Jewish values, then he shouldn't be lending beribis. So you're saying, well, maybe he was only makabel on himself Jewish values, how to collect the loan, which really, I think, is really the Gemara's teretz, right? So Amar Rav Sheshes, shekibel alav lezu, below kibel alav lezu. He said, He says, I'll accept on myself the Jewish law halfway. Right, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it all the way. Right. Okay, so now this has to do with basically one yid taking over another yid's loan to a guy. Right, which I don't know if we discussed it yesterday or not, but this gets into credit card debt. Right, if somebody borrows your credit card and then he doesn't pay the minimum, he pays the minimum, but he doesn't pay the full balance. And now he's paying interest. Now he's paying the interest straight to the bank. So it's really a guy lending money to a yid, but it's not. Because since it's going through another yid, because it's going through his accounts, so most players can say that that's ribis daraisa. But essentially what it is this guy is renting is the one yid number one whose credit card it is. It's his loan, and he lent the guy, let's say, $100 to put on his credit card. When the guy doesn't pay the full balance, the next month he has to pay, let's say, $102. That $2 is ribis going through his fellow yid's account, right? And that's a problem. So, and it could be it's even a problem of a ribis daraisa. So. But let's see, because from the next Gemara, the next one really doesn't. No, I'm sorry. The next one is a different issue. All right. So I don't know, Gershon, because according to what your pshat is, right? I don't know, Gershon. According to what Gershon's pshat is, he's not by his camera. I don't know if he could hear, but according to what his pshat is, you could hear. Okay. Make sure the yapchik is good. We're gonna send it our best. But according to what Gershon said, what do you mean? I'm charging him. I gave him a loan with the interest. Right? The one yid number one gave a loan to yid number two with the interest. The only thing is that maybe would work for the initial payment, but the next month the interest goes up. So that you can't say. Right? Okay, but that's what they say with that. But that's if you know anybody that does, if you lend your credit card to somebody, you better make sure that the guy pays up the full balance at the end of the month. Otherwise, you got problems. Yeah, fine. Then the last case in the Mishnah was very interesting terminology. It says, Malvi Yisrael Ma'asav Shel Nachri, Midas HaNachri. It says that you can lend a Yisrael money of a guy's, you can lend a Yisrael a guy's money with the das of the guy. Right, but not with the das of the yid. So it's a very cryptic lashon. So what does this mean? So the Gemara says like this: Tana Rabbanan. This is a little bit. I don't think it's hard. It's just it's a slightly technical. Tana Rabbanan. Malvi Yisrael Ma'asav. So it has to do. This whole sugya has to do with: is there such a thing as shlichus to a guy? Can a guy be a shliach for a yid? Can a yid be a shliach for a guy? Right. So what's the case here? Malvi Yisrael Ma'asav Shel Nachri Midas HaNachri. A yid can lend money to a guy with what a guy says of a das Yisrael. That's the lashon in the Mishnah. Kate, what's the case? Yisrael shall leave a moisman nanachri beribis. A yid borrows money from a guy beribis. Upikish lachziram lay, and then he comes back to the guy. He's on his way back in to pay the guy back with ribis. Matu Yisrael acher. And now another yid comes and finds him, and he tells him, Tanamli, give me the money. And I'll give you the interest. The same way you're giving it to him. Meaning basically, and this has to do with the credit card debt also. Basically, this guy's about to pay back his debt. And then his fellow Yid says to him, one second, I need a loan. So give me the loan and I'll pay it back to the guy. Right? L'chayr, sounds like it should be fine. So the Gemara says, also to do that because the guy was not involved. So since the guy was not involved, basically what happened is that Yid number 1 is lending to Yid number 2 beribis. Right? Even though the ultimate originator of the loan is a guy, but since the guy was not involved, then it's Yid number 1 lending to Yid number 2 with interest, which it sounds like exactly the credit card situation or the mortgage situation, meaning taking out a mortgage in somebody else's name or leasing a car in somebody else's name, all those things. But if they stand there and they do it in front of a guy, then it's mutter. Right? Meaning once the guy's maskim to this, then that's allowed. Right? Because what happened is even though the guy didn't touch the money, which we'll get to in a few lines, but the Yid acts as the shliach for the guy. And as long as the guy is maskim to this agreement and he says, I'm transferring it to you, then it's okay. Even though the guy doesn't actually transfer it. Now, that's not what's happening by mortgages and credit card debt. Nobody's telling the credit. If you went to the credit card company and said, by the way, this is not my debt, I'm giving it to my friend, and you got to go after him, the credit card is going to say, fly a kite. We're coming after you. It's your account, and it's your name on the account, and finished. So therefore you don't have this kula. If theoretically you get the credit card company, you go to the bank and say, can you just transfer this loan onto my name instead of going through my friend's name, which will never happen as far as I know. Maybe in 2008, maybe it would have happened. Then a tree could have gotten the loan, right? So maybe then, not anymore. Not since 2008 is that happening, right? So then you would have a kula, right? Now, what about the opposite? The guy borrowed money from a Yid, and he came back to pay back the loan. He found another Yisrael. Another Yisrael found him. And he said to the guy, Tanam li, give it to me, and I will pay you back. Right, so again, this is a guy who borrowed money, and now the Yid wants to take the guy's loan. He says to the guy, the same way you're paying interest to the Yid, I'll pay the interest. So then it's mutter. Right? Why is this mutter? But again, the opposite of the other case. Since the Yid, who was the lender, wasn't involved, so then basically it's one Yid borrowing money from a guy, even though the ultimate originator of the ribis is a Yid. But this one has to do with a Yid with a guy. But if the guy and the Yid are standing by the original with the original Yid standing there, then also, so then it's also to do this, right? So I think it's fairly straightforward. So I'm going to ask Bishlam a Seifa, so that's good according to the Seifa, where we say it's also when the Yid is standing there l'chumra, we understand that's l'chumra. So we say we're going to go l'chumra and say that there's some sort of shlichus here. Right? So, meaning the Gemara is saying, even though we said we're going to say ain't shlichus l'goy, so how can you say that the Yid is being the shliach of the guy and mele it's also? So we're saying, yeah, l'chumra, we're going to say there's shlichus. El reisha, but the reisha kiven the ain't shlichus l'nachri. Even the reisha, there's no shlichus to a guy. So what's the difference if they're all standing there together? Ihu niyu de kashakim in rebisa. It's the first borrower who's taking the interest from the second borrower, right? So again, we said that it works through shlichus, but there's ain't shlichus l'goy, right? So how does that work? So the Gemara answers: Amar Rav Huna bar Manoach Mashmei Rav Acha Brei Rav Ika Acha b'Maskinan Kegoin Amar Lei Henicham Al Gabi Karka v'Potter. What happened is that the guy, and again in the first case where the guy is the lender in the ribis, the guy said to the first yid, meaning let's say the guy who owns the credit card using our mushal, said, put the money on the floor, and then you putter. And then the second yid comes and takes it. So therefore, it was considered as if the loan was paid up, right? And then it's not transferred over. It's almost like the equivalent of you go to the bank. Let's say you have a Chase credit card. So you go into the Chase bank with your friend, the yid, and you say, and the banker says, I can't transfer the loan, but if you want, put the money on the floor. It'll be as if the bank took it, and then you take it back, and then everybody's happy. I don't know. I don't think a banker would do that either. But
the guy is a
theoretically,
landing. The guy knows his halachas.
I know, but somebody yid told them to do this.
I'm saying.
Reb Dov, they probably get the guy fresh off the mechiras chametz, right? Yeah, Mistama the yid tells him to do this. So the Gemara says, okay,
or the
that's
K-cup machine.
What?
Or
the
the
guy
K-cup
doing the
machine.
carry, the guy that's kind of the carrying machine, the guy. Yeah. Give it to what's the name in Shayasha? What's the name? Santos. He's a bucky and how to be kind of carrying machines. Yeah. So Gemara says, if that's the case, what's the chiddush? It's a different loan. So that can't be. It's a whole different loan. One paid back, and then another one took a new loan from a guy. No, so it's talking about where the guy took it, and then he put it on with his own hand. So then the Gemara says, so what's then? What does it say? That's pashut also. When answers mouth the same, a nachri gufei ki avid, a nachri himself. When he does this, adaited the Yisrael kol gomer v'yav, then he is doing it on the das of the Yisrael, meaning even though he took back the loan, but like Reb Dov, it seems like this. We're correct in what we're saying, that the yid paid him. The yid told him to do it. So you would think that even though the guy takes the loan back and shifts it to the second yid, so you would think he's doing this on with the das of Yisrael, Kamash Malon, that it's the guy doing it by himself, and he didn't have to be convinced. Oh, so now let's stop here for a minute. We got a couple of minutes. I think it's very kedai. Yeah, I don't know what Gershon's getting gassed up about. I don't know if his yapchik is burning or he's against something.
What's the mean? Why would I care about the das of the guy?
What do you mean? If he's, why do you care that if his
das make a halachic chiluk?
You mean you're trying to slug up the whole mechiras chametz now? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, the yid gave it back to him.
But
he paid back his loan.
I think that yapchik is burning. Go check that yapchik. I think it's burning.
That's just a bad reflection off the head.
You're saying that even though he does it with Dasi Sol, he did it.
I should care that the guy doesn't want the first guy to pay back, even though he physically paid back the loan.
Yeah.
But you're saying is on das the first guy. The guy can't make the first guy an artist on it.
You're saying that who cares? His actions are his actions. Who cares who told him what to do? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean,
no, isn't the Gemara saying because maybe there's a shlichus if he's doing it after the Israel?
No, he's saying that the guy is taking it back from the first guy, but not completely taking it back from the first guy. When it reaches his hands, he's giving it to the second guy from the first guy. And the fact that it's in his hands, in his mind, is irrelevant. But so what? Whether in the Jewish courts or the non-Jewish courts, no one's going to be mechayev the first guy to pay. He paid it back.
Right. I hear. I didn't think about that. I hear what you're saying. Okay, well, let's bring up to something more practical. Okay. Yeah, I saw this Geschmacke thing in Rabbi Reisman's English book, and it was very Geschmack, except when Rabbi Reisman writes that it's too complicated for this book, okay, and it's a Ribbis book, and he says it's too complicated for the author too. In case you're chayshed that he's saying it's too complicated, he writes it's also too complicated for the author. So we're getting into some deep water here, but it's kedai it's kedai at least discuss the case because it happens a lot. If I go to the store for somebody, right, like Peretz today went and paid for my bagels on the way back from a Levaya, and the tradition to go to food after the Levaya. So we had a Levaya today. So he went and he jumped me and he paid for my bagels, right? Now I have no idea how much my bagels cost. And I'm an idiot because they said it was Rav Aaron, you're muted.
You saying you bought bagels and traditions? What did you say?
No, the tradition is to go on to food after a Levaya. No, we didn't buy bagels and tradition. Don't worry, don't put it out the shmua that tradition is serving treif. Right? Yeah, so anyway, so he went and bought bagels. Now, I heard the price. I never go into bagel store. So I heard the price, $60 for 6 bagels. I thought, oh, I'm ready to pay. And then I didn't chop. He paid for my order and his order. Stam, I'm a shoyta. Okay, but now I have no idea how much my bagel order was, right? So let's say I pay him $30. And really, it was only $25. Now, l'chayra, that's ribis.
Tiago, that just means you have a credit that you're paying off a previous bill.
Why do you think that's
Maybe.
a loan? Did he do that as a loan or was it a matana?
I'll say, what's that? No. So he was giving to a matana, fine. But let's say I asked him to go into the bagel store for me and pick me up a couple bagels. And right? So then the bagels cost $9.60. And then I go and I give him $10. Is that ribis?
It's not the right.
This is the most. It's certainly
Not
not
really.
the
No.
Yes,
No, because he
it's
traveled
not.
there. He went. There's other things involved. It's gas.
should be-
Well,
it should
tell
be
him the
ribis.
40 cents is for tzedakah.
Yeah, there's
Good.
No,
You
it
can
should
do
be
it.
ribis. Ribis.
Good. It's the
Guys,
pashtus.
the whole share is too religious. It's not ribis and that's it. It's garnish. And you don't have to put it in the pushka, and you don't have to put it on your head, Naftali. It's nothing.
I said
Naftali-
it's not ribbon.
Naftali says that.
This was the most complicated thing?
No, it's not the most complicated. It's the most common.
No,
most
you said in the
common
book
ribis.
that he didn't understand it.
No. I'm going to get to you. I'll get to
Oh,
one
okay.
second. 1 second. We'll get to it. Relax. Just because we understood it doesn't mean, don't get excited that we understood something that Yisrael Reisman didn't. Right? So, contrary to what most of the Olam is saying, Ben is right. And it's ribis. It's ribis. If you just paid the guy back, it's ribis. Now, 1 second. The number one kula is that if it's a small amount of change, what the post can say means it's a small amount of change that you wouldn't bend down to pick it up, then it's not ribis. Now, so some people nowadays, well, many people probably, if it's 40 cents, they won't bend down to pick it up. But it's,
I don't
but
bend
if
down
it's
for under $50.
Only if there's a quarter involved.
maybe there's a quarter. Okay, everybody.
Tiago, is there a difference between won't or can't?
No, Peretz. We're not talking about Peretz. Even if it was on the counter, okay, Peretz was on the counter.
For
Right.
25 cents, I would bend down, but I can't. I'm Muslim.
Yeah. So anyway, so if it's more than that, the place can say that it is ribis. Now, yes, you can get around it. Saying giving it tzedakah, that's pashut, not ribis. So I give it to tzedakah. The other one is that you could tell him that you're paying us a delivery fee. Right? Let's say it's a 40-cent delivery fee. But if you don't do all that shtick, or if it's a parent or somebody who you know doesn't mind giving you a present, then that's also okay. Right? So I don't know if it's got to be somebody you're very close to. Taka normally would just give you money out of the blue. Right?
I'll save the gift from my parents for more than.
Why
40
isn't it
cents.
ribis if he gives it stock? What does stock have to do with what?
No, because he's giving it to tzedakah on behalf of the malva.
Rav Aaron, Chinese auctions, gambling, all of this stuff is mutter as long as it's for tzedakah.
Concerts. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but
At
one
least
second,
on that, we're all over ribis every single day. But if you guy buys your coffee, you give him back $2 when it really $1.88.
And no, so 12 cents is not going to really be a problem because most people wouldn't care about the 12 cents.
Or
But if
if
not,
or if you underpay him, then that's also better. If it costs $10.20 and you pay him $10, that's better too.
That's
no?
for sure okay. Yeah, that's for sure okay. Right, but now, so what's the lumdus? Meaning, what's it tullian? When you ask somebody to go to the store for you and buy you something, does he buy the product first and then he sells it to you? In which case, it's totally mutter. That's Rav Aaron, I think, thinks it is. Right, and Naftali also. Meaning, is he buying the coffee and then charging you for the coffee? If that's the case, he could charge as much as he wants. Pay him whatever it is. Or if he's a shliach, and that's how it gets into our Gemara. If he's a shliach, then it's ribis because the guy who sent him was koinet, and the shliach laid out the money, which is a loan, and now he's getting paid back more. So most paskin that it's considered that he's a shliach. And since he's a shliach, it's a loan, and therefore he's out, and it's
Well,
ripped.
if you asked him to get the bagels, or if he just went to get the bagels because he knows the tradition, that's different. No.
No, no, he's saying
Well,
that
if
the
you ask him to
default.
get the bagels, then he's your shliach. But
Right.
if he just got them because he knows that it's tradition, and the Stein family to get bagels at a levaya after a levaya, then maybe he's not your shliach.
Okay.
You didn't ask.
Oh, he's saying good. Say maybe he's Tati Shliach.
No, good. So maybe you're good. So you have to, if you structure it that way, David, so then fine. But you would have to if you clearly tell the guy, by the way, you're buying the bagels and I will buy them off of you, then 100%. You're right. Then that would be fine. But if not, then it's not. Now, let's say the seller, which many times it is, let's say it's coffee, like Aaron was saying, it's coffee from 7-Eleven, let's say, right? Now 7-Eleven is a goy. So now what's happening? You're buying something from a goy, right? As a shlichus from somebody for somebody else, even though you're being the shliach, but there's a goy involved here. So maybe based off our Gemara, where you say there's no shlichus to a goy, maybe you could somehow fit it in that it's not a ribbis issue because there's a goy involved. That's where the confusing part happens, because that's where I'm out. But that's basically, he talks something about maybe if the purchase is done from a guy, then maybe we could somehow fit it in that there's no shlichus to the guy, and how could he be a shlich from a guy? And memela, it's a purchase, and he's purchasing it for himself, not a shliach. And memela, we were all good. Yeah, I hope that was all understandable. But the bottom line is,
you can't put it in the book, but we're supposed to understand it.
I'm just saying, whatever. But at least we got the first.
I don't understand. I asked Aaron Kaplan to pick me up a pie pizza Motzei Shabbos.
Yes.
And then I give him, I don't know, whatever money I give him, but let's say, and I'm overpaying him. So you tell me that's Rivers?
Yes.
Debbie, you can't forgive me 1 quarter.
Yes, because he's
Buying
buying
it. I'll take a pie also.
He's buying it for you out shlichus. There was actually once a shaila. He brings it in the book. A guy went and asked his friend to buy him a lottery ticket, right? And the guy bought him a lottery ticket. And before he brought the lottery ticket to the fellow who asked him to buy him, you know what happened? He checked if it was a winning number, and it was a winning number. So then he tells his friend, "It ain't yours, it's mine," right? I mean, his former friend. He tells his former friend that it's not yours, it's mine.
One second. Did he designate which lottery ticket was his and which one wasn't?
No, I didn't. You have to make a difference. So
if you have things with your neighbors or with your friends, you can't.
Only somebody who you would normally not mind giving a present to.
Oh, we're good.
Oh, so I guess you're good neighbors, right? But again, yes.
No, I'm asking you.
No, but Zev, if the shliach was koine it and he's selling it, in which case the lottery ticket would be his. If anybody here would paskin that the lottery ticket goes to the shliach, I think we'd all say that he's a scammer, right? He shouldn't be able to get it. It should go to the mishalech. He bought a lottery ticket on behalf of his friend.
How many did he buy? He bought 1 ticket? That's all he had?
Don't make a difference. He could have bought 100 tickets.
If he bought 10
and
tickets,
the
he could say
14th
that.
one was no good
He
line.
could say, no, if he bought 10 tickets, he could say, listen, I bought you this
Whatever
5, and I bought my 5. He bought 1 ticket, and it's the other guys.
The guy claimed not. The guy claimed not. That's the case. If again, everybody here would say that it belongs to Mishalech. If that's the case, then it's ribbis. Then in our case, if he pays extra to him, it's ribbis because he was a shliach. So then he lent the money to pay for the pizza pie, and now he's getting back an extra $1. Right? The pie is $19. He gives him $20. That's extra $1 is ribbit. Which I tell you, that's the din.
Yeah, man, it hasn't been $19 in a long time.
Okay, whatever.
You and Rav Aaron Horowitz in the same boat now.
Peretz. I was willing to pay $60 for 5 bagels. So, and I mean, don't judge me on pricing. So, anyways, so by there they paskin that the raffle, the lottery ticket goes to the not to the guy that bought it, to the guy on whose he bought it for.
I borrow a car from Aaron Kaplan. I want to give it back with a full tank. Right?
We discussed that 3 days ago. So.
Yes, yeah, that we discussed. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. That's a different.
Jimmy, that's perfect because my car is the gas light's on. When do you want to come take it?
No, that's
Aaron, I
not
wanna
ribbis
cash
because
out
all
on
you
this
lent
one.
him was a car. There, all you
Yeah,
lent him was a car.
Ferris, I'm behind the times. I don't pay $20 for an ice cream cone. I guess must be very behind the times. I'm just smart enough to buy Cholav Stam.
Rav Aaron, you still put the same $20 into the gas tank.
One second. So if you lend someone your car and he gives you full gas tank, that's a problem or not a problem?
Oh, you weren't on, Naftali. No, it's not a problem. It's not a problem, but that's for a different reason. That's because you're lending him an object, not money.
What do you mean? Some guy, what do you mean? Time out. If some guy,
I guess I'm not going to the 9:30 mile. Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Go,
It's
go,
fine,
go.
it's fine, it's fine. I'm going to go to the 10:10. Go ahead. It's Kedai because this is actually something that we're understanding in Ribbis. Go ahead.
no, I'm saying if a person, if I'm lending somebody a car, I want to, if he's my friend, then I don't care so much. So then it's fine. He doesn't have to return it back. But if it's somebody, I lend my car because a guy, I lend the car for a kid for a date, right?
No,
I don't know
yes.
the guy, and I fill it up. You went on a date, right?
Yes.
So if he doesn't give me back,
You're not giving it to him again. With L'chayr, it sounds like Ribbis. You lent him a car, he's giving you back a car plus another 5 gallons of gas. At L'chayr, it sounds like Ribbis. It's not Ribbis for a different reason. Because there's no Ribbis
I'm on the gas also.
Doesn't make a difference. It's not a no hakpada. It has to do with that you lent him a car and he gave. There's no Ribbis on items. There's a better word. What's a word?
1 second. We said eggs. Actual. What's that? We discussed in the beginning of the paragraph.
Naftali, no. There's nothing. There's no ribbis on when the actual thing is given back.
Metalton?
Not metalton.
An actual car.
Not
it's the same car.
It's not
It's the same
Meaning
car.
when he's giving you back the same car.
Same dozen eggs. You didn't use
Right,
you give back the same dozen eggs, then it would be proper. It would be fine.
Right.
Why isn't the gas so?
What?
Why isn't the gas so?
You didn't lend them gas. You didn't lend them gas. You lend them a car. It needs gas to run. I don't think you were lending him the gas. You tell him you got to pay for the gas. I don't know. I don't know.
If you lend somebody 2 eggs and you charge them 3 eggs, that's ribbis deraisa, no?
If you make that up from the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
You make that up from the beginning. Yeah.
Right.
Jacob, but what if you don't keep cheshbon? Because Evie's right. We don't keep cheshbon these things. The pantries go open and close back and forth over here.
Right. So that the poskim thing, that's sabasah. That's coming up in Shabbos' daf. Shabbos' daf. We're gonna be much more into sabasah. We brought it up.
Aaron, but my son-in-law doesn't know you as well as I do. You have a supply of empty pizza boxes in the house from the different stores. He doesn't know that.
No, but I'm talking about the cups of sugars and the sushi rice that goes back.
I know.
Aaron, Blue Pantry. That's Bingo's brand name. No, Blue Pantries.
No, that the poskim do bring, but that's a different shmooze. The point is that all the poskim for the most part say that this thing is considered ribbis. Yeah. Okay. Let's just go. What?
The way Zed said it, that he should put a full tank of gas for using the car. Would that be a problem of agro-pagra?
Why?
So you'd have to make him potter for Einstein because you're making him a seicher, not a shayl.
Never see
these words aren't even in Tosfos on this Amid.
Agro-pagra he made up. He just made that up.
It's like 2 days ago.
Agro-pagra was yesterday's daf.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Leave it to Gershon.
I don't know what those magic words were, but you got rid of Rav Aaron, so we're good.
That's how you know the bell rang.
Like abracadabra, Rav Aaron disappears.
When he logs off, that's it. You know the game is over. Either way, let's just do a little more because tomorrow's Friday, so I want to make sure we don't.
He's still on.
Okay. Okay, Ravashi Omar. Anyways, that's at least something in Ribbis we could understand, I think. Anyway, Ravashi Omar. Ravashi has a different teretz. Again, this whole thing is there shlichus to a guy or not? So Ki Amrin ain't shlichus to nachri. When did we say there's no shlichus to a guy? Hani mili betruma. That's by truma. Meaning, when it says there's no, how do we know there's no shlichus to a guy? That's that a guy can't go take off trumas and maisus for you. So that's the pasuk was saying. It says it by truma. For the rest of the Torah, there is shlichus. So then they want to immediately shoots it down. Ravashi, Brucey, or Bedusa. It's not. It's a mistake. I don't know if it's a mistake or it's not. Meaning it's not accepted. Why? Maishno truma deloy. How come truma? You can't use a guy as your shliach to siv atem. It says you gam atem, right? And it says also you ma atem b'nei bris, just like you're a yid. Af shluchachem nami b'nei bris. Your shliach also has to be a b'nei bris. So that's what it says by truma, but it doesn't say that in the rest of the Torah. And when it says, what do you mean? It does say shlichus b'chala Torah kulanami. It doesn't say it, but the rest of the Torah we learn out from truma. So you can't start differentiating between shlichus by truma and everything else. Al Ravashi, what Ravashi said is a mistake. Ikadamri, a different shot. Amar Ravashi, ki amri non ein shlichus lanachri. When did I say there's no shlichus to a guy? Hani mili inhu lididan. That's them being our shliach. Avalanan lidithu havina l'shliach. But we could be the shliach for the guy, which then would fit into the Gemara's case above, where we're being the shliach for the guy to accept the loan from yid number one, and then return it, and then go back. Even that's also a mistake. How come we? How does it go? That they can't become our shliach? Comes to include that your shliach has to be a yid. And nami, us to them nami. Just like we have to be a b'nei bris, then them him too. So what Ravashi said is a mistake. Fine. Ravina Amar, he has a different spin. Nehi the shlichus l'nachri lesle. A guy can't be a shliach. Zechia midrabanon islay, but he could be zaycha in things for us. Meaning he can't be a shliach, but he could be zaycha, and meaning he can acquire things sort of like zach and ladam shlei b'fanam. Meaning he's not really being our shliach; he's buying it for us. Midi dahavi a cotton, similar to a cotton. A cotton can go acquire something on behalf of a gadol. Cotton lava fagav the less le shlichus. We know that you can't use a cotton as a shliach on Tamid Aleph. But a cotton can be zoicha in something for you midrabana. Here too, it also doesn't make a difference. And that's not true. What Ravina said is also not true. Yisrael Yisrael will eventually become a shliach. So even though he's even though he's a katan, he eventually will be in the din of shlichus. So Mamela, he can be zoicha in things, even not al shliach, but al zeschus. Akum lo yasi l'klal shlichus, but a guy does not come into the klal of shlichus at all, and therefore he can't be zoicha in things either. Okay, sorry for the little bit of overtime. We'll stop over there.